can also set the tempo manually, so you can go over here and say if your tracks you know for sure they're at a particular tempo, you can just fire it right in there. If you've got a drummer playing to a click track, same deal, and you can actually save it to the preset at that tempo,
awesome.
Which is pretty sweet. The other way you can do it, if you've got a live drummer who maybe doesn't have the best tempo in the world and you have to readjust as you go, is that if you're on the preset and you press and hold the up button and the hit button at the same time and hold them down for a sec, the tempo will pop up and you'll actually notice the light flashing there, and as I press it, it redoes the tempo. So you can actually tap it like in time with the song as you're going and then just let it go, and then it just sits there and it taps right where it is. Right, so you could readjust if things are starting to get a bit wonky, your delays aren't quite tapping on time anymore and you freak it out, you tap it back on time again.
So just double on my foot, I could stamp down on those two guys at the same time, lift it up, and then tap it out with the other foot.
Exactly.
Or tap it out with my finger if I wanted to. Could I do, or would that not?
I'm not sure if we can, let's see, you have stumped me on that one. No, we don't do, we can actually talk about this right now. What can we do with the mic control? Some of our products do have expanded mic control, so you can do a whole bunch of things that are crazy. This one, we've limited it to what we felt were sort of the easy ones to get a hold of. So hit button, obviously, like you're doing right now, you can set it to. I'm in the setup menu, by the way. Do you know how to get in there?
Back and no. Oh, right here.
There you go.
Easy, right?
Yeah, totally.
See? It's so easy sometimes, it's like over my head.
So I've gone into the setup menu. I selected the MP75 as my mic. There's a couple of different inputs here. Dynamic mic would be like an SM58, something like that. A condenser mic would be like a studio mic, you know, that's a larger one that needs power.
Right.
And then you can select MP75. And once you select MP75, then you can control what mic control does. So you go over into the function here, and right now it's set to hit, but you could set it to hit and talk, which means if you press and hold, now it goes into talk mode. So what that is it's like bypass. So if you've got a bunch of harmonies and stuff on your voice, you don't want to necessarily say like, so how's everybody doing tonight, with a bunch of harmonies or like a bunch of delay on your voice.
Which I did once,
exactly,
yeah. That was interesting.
So you can do that to get into talk mode, and it does get emulated by pressing and holding this button. So I can get us out of talk mode, and I can press and hold here and get us in. So you could use your foot as well.
So press and hold, and then I can take my finger off of it and talk.
And talk, normally. And you're just like, so we'll put you into talk mode there, and you can just talk.
Hello everyone, thank you for coming here tonight.
And then you're like, oh, I'm going to sing my song, and you,
oh my god, I'm going to sing.
And then all your effects come back on.
See.
Cool. You can also set it to preset up. So if I just back out here so you can see it, if you push the button there, right, it goes through presets.
So
you could do that if you're away from the unit, you know, and you're stretched out somewhere, you're like, you know, getting into it with the crowd a little bit, and then, you know, the band's going to change songs, and you're like, oh, geez, you don't want to run back. Boom, you can just hit it that way.
Nice.
Now, you do have to set it up in advance to have that control.
So we just hit it once, knowing that it's going to my next song.
Exactly, yeah. And if it was set to preset up, you wouldn't be able to control hit with it. So, you know, it's a compromise, and you got to figure out what works best for you. Yeah, and where you want to be when you're doing it. Let's take another look at the setup menu here, because there's a few extra things we can cover. So the RoomSense, ambient auto. So what we've got it set to is to listen if it hears chord information from outside, and it doesn't hear anything through the Aux In, and it doesn't have a key set in the song itself. You know, we went back and we set that key to F. If neither of those things are true, then it'll start listening to the mics, and it'll say, oh, hey, what's going on in the room? What key is this song in? And can I hear a guitar or some other instrument that has some chords going on? So that's a really cool thing to set. You can set just ambient if you want, and all that does is it just activates the mics inside the box. So what you could do is in the mix screen over on this side, it gives us some mix parameters. You could actually listen to what's going on with the RoomSense. It's going to tell us to connect headphones, because it won't actually put the RoomSense out into the PA, because it would feedback like crazy. But you can set it in your headphones. So if you had like in-ear monitors and you wanted these mics to like listen to the room a little bit. So, you know, sometimes like, have you used in-ears before?
I have.
Okay, so you know how it kind of isolates you from the rest of the world?
You don't get any of that room, and you feel really disconnected from the performance.
Exactly. So oftentimes they'll actually put a mic up on stage and blend it into an in-ear monitor mix, so that the artist has, you know, sort of a feeling of connection with the crowd. Somebody yells something at them, they actually hear it, you know, and so they can heckle back, you know.
Totally.
So you can use RoomSense like that to just add a little bit of stuff
cool.
in there. Yeah. So I'll turn it down here, and I'll go back to the setup screen. And let's see, so we got ambient auto. Now you also have voice as a setup, and you have to use headphones for this. But what you can see here is it's actually lighting up green and red and all that right now. Is the mic no longer works. It's actually using the mics as the vocal mic. So if you didn't have a mic with you at all, and you just had a pair of headphones and this was in your bag, you just leave it on the desk, and we've got it set up. It's pretty sensitive, so we've got it set up. You could sit back this far, and you could just sing into it and actually, you know, have the effects go on your voice. It's kind of a practice type deal. I mean, you certainly wouldn't use that at a gig or anything, but if you don't have another mic around, it works. Yeah, for sure. Woo! That was a cool little pop.
Hello.
There's aliens in the room. This is kind of a neat one. The Aux In, we were actually having a conversation around the office one day saying, hey man, if we could like go forward in time and actually be a bit clairvoyant, we could know what the song is doing ahead of time and then make the harmonies a little more accurate and make them fall a bit closer to the voice. Because there's obviously a tiny little delay when it has to listen to the song, figure out what the harmony is, and then make that harmony and put it on your voice. So what we decided was, if you've got tracks and you've got them coming in through the Aux In like that, and you're listening to the song, if we delay that just slightly, you'll press play and there's this ever so slight delay before you actually hear what happens. We've actually kind of gone forward in time. The song is just delayed a little bit, so you don't hear it for a split second, but the box hears it ahead of you.
Oh, so it knows the key.
So then it's sort of saying, hey, I can catch it. I can catch up here a little bit, and I can make it a little bit more accurate. So the reason we put the control in here, though, is that say if you were in the studio, you wouldn't want to have what you're hearing, say, out of your virtual instrument or what like the tracks that you're listening to, you know, from your DAW or whatever you're recording it to. You wouldn't want those delayed. You want to have that real time.
Yeah.
So the tracks mode is for when you're using an MP3 player or something like that. You're listening to tracks.
Okay.
Live mode is when you want to have it happen right now.
Okay.
I don't want to have any delay going on. I don't want to have any compensation for anything. I want to have it immediate. So that's just a good little trick. So if things are staggered a little bit and you're trying to do recording with it, just mess with that and that'll get you where you're going.
Nice. I don't know about that one at all.
Pitch core amount is pitch correction amount. It's autochromatic pitch correction that applies to everything. So it hits the mic, comes in here, and immediately starts getting corrected. And it's got an amount from off all the way to 100%.
Oh, wow.
And 100% is kind of like hard tune.
It's going to sound like auto-tuning.
It'll sound a bit
but
hard tune.
But midway will just bump you up or down that extra.
Exactly, yeah. You can think about it, you know, the notes here, you kind of went over and it just, it kind of puts you back on, right? Nice. So that's, I find that maybe 20 to 40% is a really good place to just kind of hang out with.
Nice.
Tone style is our automatic adaptive EQ and compression. So when you're singing into the mic, it's saying, I want this thing to be a little brighter. I want it to be a little boomier, you know, that kind of stuff. And the vocal range is really hot, you know, really big.
So if I'm like really belting, it'll kind of compress it for me a little
Exactly.
bit.
So you can have tone style off. Normal is what we most of the time set it to. And then there's a bunch of other settings in here. Less bright if you're really SE, or warmth if you're a really thin voice, that kind of stuff. More compression. So if you have a very big dynamic range, like you're quite the belter, maybe more compression would work for you because it would end up kind of
So these would be on all the time?
It's on all the time. It's in the setup menu, yeah.
Right. Okay, cool.
So let's go. We'll just fire real quick through the rest of the menus here. Output, you can output in stereo, you know, goes out the left and right. Pretty straightforward. Mono, it just goes out the left side there. So a lot of PAs are mono, right? So you don't necessarily want to send like a delay that bounces back and forth.
It's just not.
It's only going to bounce on one side. So what this does is it puts them all in the middle. Dual mono is kind of a neat one. You can send the tracks out one channel and all the voices and stuff out the other. So if you were doing kind of a karaoke thing, you could have a guy at a mixing board who could control the balance between the tracks that are coming through this thing and your voice. Wow. So it's kind of a neat little addition.
Does that work in any sense with the harmony? Would it be coming out in...
All the harmonies would come out the one side with your voice, all in mono, and then all the tracks would come out the other side in mono. Yeah. Nice. Vocal cancel's kind of neat. It allows you to literally... turn off the vocals within a song. So if you have a track playing in stereo and you hit vocal cancel, it'll actually try and remove the lead singer from the song.
Oh.
So it does some little funky stuff with phase and that kind of stuff. And it works really well on some songs and not so well on other songs, depending on the mix that actually came out of the studio that way. But you'll find that you can actually kind of make a karaoke track out of virtually anything that you're singing along to, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that's super cool.
And then similar to vocal cancel, these can get a little confusing because they sort of sound like they do the same thing. Lead mute actually mutes your voice in the signal pass. So let's experiment with it. We'll turn lead mute on. But what I'll do is I'll go into the effects here and I'll turn on some harmonies. And turn off all the other effects here real quick. There we go. Okay, so then we'll turn on some harmony. Now if you sing, only the harmony is coming through.
Oh!
So your voice doesn't come through at all. So if you wanted to do something like a really low, like we do octave down.
So we think it's gonna be over.
Right, that's where lead mute would come in handy. Also when you're recording, if you wanted to send back just the harmonies, you've already got a lead vocal track and you're wanting to record just harmonies, you turn the lead mute on. It's going to mute the lead.
It's only going to record the harmony part.
It's only going to record the harmony part back, and then in your mixer you'd be able to deal with it after that. We'll go back. Okay, a couple other quick little ones. Digital out level just controls the amount of signal going out through like USB.
Oh, okay.
So if it's, clipping in your computer, you just turn it down right there. Headphone limiter. I normally keep it off because I like to blow my ears out with headphones, but you can set the headphone limiter.
It's the same idea, just in with the headphones.
It's so that you don't get too loud. It's like a volume kind of control, so it just doesn't blow your ears out. Global key is kind of an interesting one. If you've set the key, it will stay in that key as you change presets. So if you wanted every preset to be an F, like we said it before, you could set it to global key, and it would, no matter what you change, every song would be an F. So if that's the only key you can sing in,
It'll probably be A minor. A minor is like my favorite.
There you go.
So everything is A minor. So yes.
Global tempo, it's kind of the same deal. If global tempo was on and you set the tempo like we did, it would just stay the same tempo for the whole thing. Yeah. Now looping, we haven't really talked about looping yet, but we'll get to it in a sec. You can do several different types of input, and it's essentially what's going to the looper. So we have 3 choices: just the voices, just the tracks that you have potentially coming in, or both. And you can go back and forth.
So I could loop the song and my vocals, or just my vocals, or just the song.
Totally. And some of them, like if the song has just an intro, you could just loop that intro and it keeps playing over and over again.
This is so perfect. I was at a gig the other day, and because I do play the track a lot with live instrumentation as well, but I wanted the beginning intro of the song to loop because I wanted to do some chatting, and I didn't want it just to be dead space.
Yeah, perfect.
So we were doing it in our Serato. It was all challenging, but that's awesome.
Yeah, you can do it live.
Because I wanted to do that like a week ago, so that's great.
Undo just lets you undo when you're doing a loop. So if you've added a layer and you don't like it, you can take it away. By turning undo off, you get a longer loop time. It's sort of a compromise. You either you can be risky and have no undo, but have a longer loop, or you can have half the time of loop. I think it's 15 or 30 seconds are the 2 different times, and have the undo. Okay, so last but not least in looping is loop feedback. And there's a little bit of math involved. It's in the manual. You can kind of read about the scary math part of it. But essentially what happens is, if you kept looping and adding things on top and on top and on top all at the same volume, it would just get louder and louder and louder and louder. Right. So what this does is it kind of diminishes the stuff as it goes in a stack, so it keeps it from getting crazy in volume. Okay. So you can experiment with different settings. We set it at 98%. It's just so it's slightly a little bit less as you go through the stacks. One last screen. We're totally getting to the end here. Yay, contrast for your LCD screen. That's pretty straightforward. One of the ones on here that is important is the up-down function. So right now it's set to looping. That means if you push the up and down buttons, I'll have to get out to show you. Push the up and down buttons and hold them, it goes into loop mode. Okay. But you can set it to be set key. So if you wanted to set key on the fly, then you'd have it set. So it's the same as doing, getting into your tap tempo, but you're getting into set key. And this actually allows you to say, hey, okay, what key do I want to be in? Oh, I want to be, you said you want to be an A minor. Where we'll go around here. There we go. A minor, we'll go minor 2, and then we'll just let it time out, and it'll go back from this. And now the key is set in A minor 2. Now, actually, we can go in, if you go to the effects, and we go to the harmony, key is set to, now it'll say A. The minor 2 part is actually the scale that you set. Right. So that's actually in the advanced menu, so you can set scale there. Remember I said things had advanced menu, so you could check it out. So that's where the scales go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, cool. So I think that's pretty much the end there. You just set those 2. Lead delay, you can set it to sync the voices up to the harmonies or the doubling and that kind of stuff. If there's any processing that happens in the box that would mean that the effects come out a little bit behind your voice, it'll actually delay your lead voice just slightly. You probably won't be able to hear it. Sometimes you can hear it a little bit, but the audience won't hear it at all, and it just kind of lines things up a little bit better. So you can experiment by chucking it on auto, trying it on voice sync, where it tries to just sync the harmonies and stuff so that they're all tight with your voice. But that's kind of right deep in the menus there.
Oh, so it actually delays my voice to the harmony.
Exactly,
because the harmony is naturally delayed a little bit.
Exactly.
So it just lines it up perfectly. Oh,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, totally. So that's pretty much it. I know that's been a whole heck of a ton of stuff, but we figured why not go over it all, right? Yeah, exactly.
That's what we want. So
may as well cover absolutely everything, and that way people have had a chance to really sort of get a sense of it, just like you walking through the box, and there are some things that they're going to run into. They're like, what the heck is that? Totally. They're going to wonder what favorite is, which I totally forgot. Favorites.
Favorite. That's
it's another genre, essentially. So think of it as another group of songs, but you control what's in that genre. All the other genres, we've tagged them. We've said this is a song and artist, this is a rock song, this is whatever. This one is, if you love Gorgeous Hall, you can press favorite and it becomes a favorite. You go on to something else, Paparazzi, it's also my favorite. Great. Hot in Here, Her.
Getting hot.
It's also your favorite. Then what happens is all these ones that are tagged as favorites, if I go into genre and I go to the favorite genre, now those ones that I just did.
They're the only ones in there.
They're right there.
That is amazing.
Right, so that's a really cool way of if you're not creating a whole bunch of your own presets, but you want to sing certain songs a lot, you can go through and favorite them. Cool. You could also use it as a set list, I suppose, as well, if you wanted to do it that way. That's pretty much it. You want to mess around a little bit and try making. I'm horrible at making loops, but if you want to try making a loop, we can do that.
This will be my first looping experience.
Okay, so normally what you want to do is like the timing is everything in these, right? So it's all about like getting on the beat, you know, so that you get a loop going. Do you want me to horribly white boy beatbox some stuff here? Okay,
let's do it.
So you see how I push the button like right at the right time? Right, okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clear that just by pressing these buttons here because it was really loud. So the thing that'll happen, I'm gonna turn this down. Here we go.
Okay.
And we'll see if it loops right. Pretty close. It's pretty good, pretty usable. So now we'll do is turn the volume back up here. Because you kind of want to distort it when you're doing the beatbox stuff. It can be really loud and then you can't sing anything.
This will be the only time when cupping the mic is
exactly.
Okay.
It's okay. It's cool, right? So then, hey, so you can hear that we can sing into it. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh. Let's try laying that in there. And it'll come in again, right? Now I can exit here and I can find a different sound for you. So I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna like turn on a harmony or something like that for you. And now you can sing something else over top. Yeah, just mess around.
You think you know it, but it's not my way.
Cool, and that's about how long it would be, right? Yeah, so you just sing it once. So,
okay.
Right, so we're gonna let this go. Go right through its little loop here, and then we're gonna come and sing it. Ready? Here, go.
You think you know me, but it's not my way. You think you know me, but it's not my way. You think
Yeah, and now what you can do is actually you could just sing over top of it, right? You could just let this run and do it, you know, your own thing behind it.
Right, so I could have done more of like a vocal thing as opposed to lyrics there to make it more.
Exactly, yeah. And so that's something that, you know, it takes a lot of practice and it's something that people sometimes find frustrating. I was so bad at it when I first started. Once you learn how to get things, the in and out part of it, so that you don't get boom, ba-ba-chak, ba-boom, boom, you know, and then it starts again, then it works really well. So it's totally a practice thing, but it's super fun. Cool.
That's going to be #1 hit. For sure.
Oh, of course, yeah. The I think I know it, but I lost my way. Is that okay?
I don't even think that made any sense what I said, but there you go.
Also, I totally appreciate you coming and hanging out because it really helps, you know, a lot of the people who have bought these things to kind of get into it and really learn along with you.
Well, it helps me so tons. Now I can really know this thing inside out. So it's just super awesome and mutually beneficial.
Cool. Thanks, Georgia.
Thank you so much.